Hi everyone, it's Karen here from www.gethookedupcrochet.com. Otherwise, you know me on social media as @hookedupcrochet. Today, I am so excited to bring you the Woven Hearts Beanie tutorial. I've been working on this for a while, so it feels really good to have this video up. So let's go ahead and get our materials. This tutorial, making an adult size slouch beanie, you need less than 300 yards of worsted weight yarn. I'm using this yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's been discontinued. I like the variegated on video because it shows the stitches really nicely, but I do prefer it in a solid color. You also need a measuring tape, size I crochet hook, scissors, and a yarn needle. So now that we've got that, let's get to making. With the brim, you are going to chain 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then in the second chain from the hook, we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across. So here I am, single crocheting all the way across to get 7 single crochets. And every time I make a band, right here I usually just give it a nice little stretch, kind of straighten everything out. Now you're going to chain 1, and now you will work 1 single crochet through both loops in the first stitch. In the next 5 stitches, we are going to work a single crochet in the front loop only. So there's number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5 in the front loop only. And then in our last stitch, we are going to work a single crochet through both stitches. Now you will chain 1 and repeat this pattern. Single crochet through both loops for the first stitch, front loop, front loop, front loop, front loop, front loop, and in the last stitch you will single crochet through both loops. This just makes the band have a nice clean edge on the top and the bottom. So you will just continue this pattern until you've reached your desired length. And since we're making an adult size beanie, we're going to make our band length 19 inches long. So just keep working, and when we come back, we'll be ready to make our 2 ends meet. Alright, as you can see here, I've reached my desired length, so I'm making my 2 ends meet together. So I'm going to straighten everything out, bring my other end of my band up to connect, and we're going to line those stitches up. We're going to chain 1, and now we're going to go through both ends of the band, and now we're just going to slip stitch the 2 ends together. So there's number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. And now you've connected your band, so next you will turn it right side out so that seam is on the inside. So I'm going to move that little string. We don't have to worry about it right now. So there it is, all done, and I'm going to flip it up and I'm going to show you right here. There's your seam. Nobody will see it since it's on the inside. Alright, so let's keep working. To start the body of the hat, we are going to chain 1 and work 1 single crochet stitch around the top of our band, spacing them out evenly. So since I'm making an adult size beanie, I'm going to make sure that I have 61 single crochets around the top of my band. And here I am just working those, spacing them out evenly, and I sped this part of the video up, so you may want to pause here so you can take your time and make sure that you have your 61 single crochets spaced out evenly. And when you come all the way around, you are going to slip stitch to your first stitch. For our next row, we are going to chain 2 and work 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Next, we are going to work a shell stitch, which is skipping 2 stitches In the third stitch, working 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and after that you skip 2 stitches, and now we are going to work 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, there's 2. In the next stitch we are going to work a double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet in that same stitch, and then we're going to work a double crochet in the next stitch and a double crochet in the next stitch. And this is what your work should look like so far. And now we're going to begin the pattern repeat, and as you work this row you will be able to see how to do the pattern just by repeating. So we're skipping 2 stitches, working our shell stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you skip 2 stitches. You're going to work a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, there's 2, and in the next stitch you're going to work a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in that same stitch, and now we're going to work a double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So there's 1, there's 2, and as you can see we're going to work a shell stitch. Skip 2 stitches, work 5 double crochets, skip 2 stitches. 3, 4, and number 5. Skip 2 stitches, double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and in the next stitch we're going to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in that same stitch, work 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, and now we're back to the shell. You're just going to keep repeating this pattern all the way around until your last 3 stitches where you will work 3 double crochets. So I'm just going to keep working, and you can too. We're going to go all the way around. Okay, as you can see here, I'm working my shell stitch. I skipped 2 stitches. I have 3 stitches left, and I'm going to work 3 double crochets in those last 3 stitches. So there's 1, there's number 2, and here's number 3. And now you're going to slip stitch to your first stitch to complete this row. And this is what your work should look like. So let's keep moving. Okay, for the next row we are going to chain 2, work 3 front post double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So there's number 2 and number 3. Now we are going to chain 1, slip stitch to our 3rd double crochet from the previous row. So there's our slip stitch, and chain 1 again. Now we are going to work 3 front post double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So there's number 2 and number 3. And now we are going to chain 2, slip stitch to that chain space, chain 2, and work 3 front post double crochets in the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, there's number 2, and number 3. And as you can see, the pattern repeats. So we are going to chain 1, slip stitch to that 3rd double crochet from the previous row, chain 1, work 3 front post double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch to that chain space, chain 2, 3 front post double crochets, number 2 and number 3. And as you can see, as you're working this pattern, it repeats so much that as you're working it, you don't have to look over at the pattern. You can just see what you need to do next. So I chained, slip stitch, chain, 3 front post double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, slip stitch to that chain space, chain 2, 3 front post double crochets, and you're just going to keep working this all the way around. Okay, as you can see here, I'm coming to the end of this row. I chained. I'm going to slip stitch to that 3rd double crochet from the previous row, chain again, and now I'm going to work my last 3 front post double crochets. So there's number 2 and number 3, and now we are going to slip stitch to our first stitch to complete this row. Okay, to start round 4, we are going to chain 2, and in the space between our first stitch, we are going to work a puff stitch into that space. So puff stitch, yarn over, pull through. So we made our puff stitch. Now we are going to work 6 front post double crochets. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and we're skipping those stitches from the previous row. So we're just going to keep working. So there's 4, 5, and 6. Now we are going to work 2 puff stitches into the chain space right there. So 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, yarn over, pull through, and I'm going to work another puff stitch right there in that same space. And now our pattern repeats. We'll work 6 front post double crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now you will work 2 puff stitches right there in the chain space again. And you're just going to keep repeating this pattern all the way around until you reach your last 3 stitches, and you'll work 3 front post double crochets. Then after your last stitch, you're going to squeeze in a puff stitch into the chain space. So keep working and we'll meet back. Okay, as you can see here, I've been working my way around. I'm working my last 3 front post double crochet stitches for this round. And after I complete my last front post double crochet, I'm going to work another puff stitch right there into that chain space to complete this round. All right, and now that I've done that, I'm going to slip stitch to my first stitch, which is the puff stitch, and you will repeat this row 3 more times.